At 91 years of age, Clint Eastwood could very well be the oldest writer-director of a feature film in history. And this could be his last one. Who knows? Let's talk about Cry Macho. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new Clint Eastwood film, Cry Macho. You can get it through the weekend on HBO Max. It is still available in select theaters as well. And if you missed your window, it will be back on HBO Max in a few months and on DVD before the end of the year as well. So before we get into the film Cry Macho and my review of it, I want to welcome you to Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. If you like what you're seeing, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, or even hit that notification bell next to it so you can get all of my movie review notifications as soon as I post them. So let's talk about this movie. Like I said, Clint is 91 and he is the star of this movie. He directed the movie. He is the executive producer of the movie. And it's based on a book called Cry Macho from the 1970s. And the movie takes place in the 70s. Clint plays a one-time rodeo star and washed-up horse breeder who takes on a job to go down to Mexico and collect a man's young son, get him away from the alcoholic mother, and bring him back up to Texas to his father. And on their journey, you know, they both sort of learn something about the other one, and you know, the boy learns what it means to be a good, solid man, and Clint learns a little bit as well. So this movie has sort of an interesting background because, like I said, it is from a book from the 70s, but Arnold Schwarzenegger was originally attached to this film like 20 years ago, and he, you know, it was right before he decided to run for governor, so then he put all his movie projects on hold, so it sort of sat in limbo for a while, but Clint, I guess it was always sort of rattling around in his mind, and so he wanted to make it his own. So obviously there's been some changes here, because the Arnold character, of course, 20 years ago would have been probably in his 50s, I guess, and Clint is playing, you know, around his age. I'm not sure if this character is quite 91, but he's probably playing in his 80s or something. So I think the movie has a very, very different feel now than it would have 20 years ago with Arnold in the title role. I think it probably would have been more action heavy as well. One of the biggest issues, I think, of this movie is that it goes at sort of a bit of a plodding pace. And it's funny, you know, we have the movie at the theater I work for, and I was sort of joking around with this one family that comes in all the time when they were going to see this, and the one woman mentioned, "Oh, I hope there's not a threesome," because Clint Eastwood had a threesome in The Mule, and it was just so ridiculous. It was this man in his 80s, you know, banging these 30-year-old women or whatever in a threesome because he's so hot and irresistible. So they came out of the movie, and I said, "Oh, you know, were there any threesomes in it?" And she laughed and said, "No, but honestly, it would have made the story more interesting." So I was kind of expecting the worst going into this. I sort of expected it to be very, very bland and boring. And the Rotten Tomato score is very middling. I think it's like 54%. But to be honest, I didn't think it was all that slow or, you know, unmemorable. I think it just sort of doesn't dazzle anybody, you know? Like, I think as a 91-year-old man does himself, I think the movie just sort of plods along, doing what it's doing. It never gets too exciting. But I have to say, I don't know that I was ever bored with it either. I think there is some sort of chemistry here with Clint and the young man. But at the same time, you know, Clint is doing his Clint thing. You know, he's being this gruff old man. He's throwing off a couple of, you know, racist sentences every now and again. And, you know, oh, let's stick it to the cops. And there's a standoff at one point. And it's all a little bit ridiculous coming from a very, very elderly man. And we know Clint is a badass. We got it. But I've been saying for years that his directing, I think he might need to hang that up. A lot of his movies in the last, let's say, 10 to 12 years, I haven't really cared for. The Mule actually was one of the better ones. I think I gave that maybe a B minus or something. Gran Torino obviously is his late life pinnacle. That and I guess Million Dollar Baby, if we want to go back that far. But all of these movies, whether he's in it or not, are just sort of like slow paced. And Sully was interesting. I liked that one, which he wasn't in, of course, but he directed it. The Tom Hanks movie that was real good. But yeah, some of these other ones just sort of meander. And I think that's the biggest issue with this movie, but also just sort of the unbelievability of, all right, dude, you're like such an old man and you're trying to do these fight scenes, and it just is a little over the top. But at the end of the day, I have to say that I think the Clint hardcore fans are going to probably eat this up. Like a lot of movies I review on this channel, this probably wasn't necessarily made with me in mind anyway. Like on the other end of the spectrum, we had Space Jam, which I thought was okay. My nephews loved it, but look, it isn't made for me, it's made for them. And this, I think, is probably not made for me. It's made for the retiree set, I guess. But when all is said and done, if this does turn out to be Eastwood's last movie, I don't think that's an embarrassment. I don't think he needs to go out holding his head low that this was his swan song. It's not great, but I think for what it is, it's just fine. And so with that, I leave Cry Macho with a C. It's fine. If you're an Eastwood, diehard, you'll probably appreciate it more than I did. But it wasn't nearly as slow as I feared it might be. Macho, by the way, is the name of the chicken or rooster that they, sort of take over the border. So that's where we get the name Cry Macho from. But anyway, that's going to do it. So thank you for watching. We've got a lot of movie reviews coming up. We're going to do Halloween Kills very soon. I'm catching up on some other horror movies from earlier in the year, too, because we're getting to that spooky season. So I'm going to have some Fear Street reviews and a bunch of other things on the way as well. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.